Going, guys? I got the girls, like I said.
Really?
Yes, really. God damn it. Let's just get into this. Uh, as you guys funnel in, we're going to be answering your questions. So we have Ryan and his sunglasses.
What's up?
And
Tillman.
we go with Tillman. They are both active duty in the Navy with me, and they are both 160 techs like I am. They just don't work on the same style of gun computer. So they work on the earlier. They're going to be working on the earlier mod of computer. I'll be working on a newer mod. So.
I thought you were gonna have your okay. Start with the question.
That's a question.
Yeah.
All right. I got a list of questions. Questions that you guys have asked me, and questions that I think that you guys might want to know. Not 100% sure. First question is when you first left for boot camp, and you arrived that first day, how were your feelings?
Well, out
I'm
of
nervous.
yeah, a little bit, but out of all the videos that I had been looking up for the Navy and getting to boot camp, and I was watching Marine videos as well, it was not as overwhelming as it really could have been. It still was, but it wasn't as overwhelming as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, same.
Because when you get there, everybody's yelling at you, and it's classic boot camp. You'll see it on the YouTube. So.
So you guys didn't get any of the butterflies in your stomach like some other people have talked about?
You want to know what I did do when I got into boot camp? I had my routing number I had my bank information on just some random piece of paper, and I mixed it in with my medical record. And when they were yelling at me to get off the bus, I ran and got off the bus, and I handed them the folder of everything with the paper in it, and I handed everything to them, and they told me to run around, and I went and I ran around, and I ended up having to get a new bank because I didn't have my routing number for my bank information because I forgot it in the folder.
Is it still there? Did you check to see if it made it in there?
Honestly, there's nothing wrong with my bank account right now. So and it's been like a year, so I'm assuming just threw it away.
So you were just nervous. Everything was happening so fast.
Everything
You
was
just couldn't.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I could see that about a bunch of people.
I was more excited, but that's because I have a military dad, so he basically talked me through everything was going to happen beforehand. And since he went so long ago, his was way worse. So I was expecting a lot worse than what happened. Because it's the first day you're going to go in there and the chief's going to walk in and just kick a trash can through the hallway or something. And it didn't happen, and I was kind of disappointed. But, they just can't do stuff like that anymore, I guess.
They threw clipboards and chairs.
No,
They flipped tables.
mine was kind of easy the first day I arrived. It was just get out. You're just kind of all groggy, tired first thing in the morning. And then they make us stand lining next to each other, and we were just and it was a huge mess because nobody knew what they were doing, and they're just, and they're not allowed to scream at us yet because they haven't done any of the medical
stuff. So that's why they can't be dropped. Yeah, everything.
So first day, but it was very nerve-wracking because they're giving you direction without explanation. So. I did that, and I left my phone at home. I didn't bring my phone with me, so when the first phone call back at home, they didn't give us a payphone to use. They actually made it if I didn't have one, grab somebody else's and use it.
Oh, yeah.
That was
bad.
bad.
Phone, just toss it to someone who doesn't.
I hope you remember the number. I actually handed my phone, because I brought my phone with me, and I handed it off to about 3 people, and then I finally got it back.
Yeah, if I could go back, I'd have probably taken a Go phone, not the smartphone. Just go get me a little flip phone with my SIM in it. Do that so that way I could just throw that sucker away and then tell my dad that to cancel that number just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I knew I would have had their numbers and stuff to call that first day.
People brought address books.
I did have that.
I did not. I had no idea. I only had one number. I called my mom, and she's like, "Oh, hi, I love you," and I was like, "Mom, I'm here. I'm safe. I'll give you a call in probably 3 weeks. Okay, I gotta go. Love you. Bye." And she's like, "Oh, well, how'd you go? Blah, blah, blah." Mom, shut up.
Mom, shut up.
Because they were yelling at the kids that were trying to conversate with with their parents and whoever they were calling. They were yelling, "Get off the phone! Get off the phone!" So all of these people are getting yelled at because their mom can't get off the damn phone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Mom, shut up!"
My
Hang up the
parents
phone.
didn't even answer. I was just like,
Left him a message.
"Hey, got here. Bye."
Yeah.
But it was a New York number trying to call them, so they were probably like, "Who the fucker was trying to call us from New York?"
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I was the first person in line. So the guy was right there. And
Yeah.
I was just like, and they were like, you have to say these lines and just these lines. And like, just the second line, I was like, damn, what was the rest of the line?
I know, right?
I was like, what else am I allowed to say? And then my dad had to take the phone from my stepmom because he's like, all right, she's gonna get mad at you. So he like took in the information, then explained it to her later.
Yeah. I know that's the first day you get there. They have you stay up for
Like,
2 days. I
yeah,
forgot
it's
what that
48
Yeah.
hours.
48 hours.
Mhm.
That was the hardest part, honestly, was sitting in the hallway with your sea bag full of bullcrap and just sitting there for hours, just hours on end. Can't talk. Falling asleep. I didn't even realize I was falling asleep. Some chick next to me had to keep smacking me. Get up, because we would get yelled at if they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we had some pretty idiots in mine as well. Like we're going through the first 40. It's not my first time staying at 48 hours. Before I got in the Navy, I was able to work some mechanic work and some jobs that way. But I wasn't. I was used to it. But these guys, 18, 19, don't know anything. And we had one guy. He decides, oh well, I'm kind of tired, so I'm gonna freaking get in my shower shoes and crawl into my rack. And just as the one of the RDCs walk in, and that was the first time we got to watch somebody get their ass chewed without having to go through medical first.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like, do not wear your shower shoes to bed. Like, that is a huge no-no.
Why did he wear his shower shoes?
That's like, yeah, what?
They're shower shoes.
He also had his socks on, so
And wait, he had his socks on and the sandal looking. Oh, okay.
he was using them like slippers.
Oh,
Well,
gross. What the hell?
they hadn't been in the shower yet, so he was just like, what the, whatever.
Fair point. I mean, I guess. Damn.
See, the 48 hours sucked for me because I didn't know I was already going to be staying up for a day. So I was up for about another day on top of that.
I feel like a lot of people did that.
So, like, my 48 hours turned into 72 hours, and then I also got the first watch ever.
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
just, like, gone. Like, and then the person who was supposed to relieve me didn't wake up. So the rover had to sit there and, like, call the OOD. And he, like, went up to the person's rack and, like, screamed.
Oh.
Like, he went right up next to their face and just screamed real quick.
The second
And
day.
The first, yeah, basically.
The first night, the second day.
Mm-hmm. And she woke up, and then he turned and went, "She's up now."
Because the rover didn't want to wake her up.
Because the rover was like, she's not waking up. Like, she just. Because at that point, she's had 2 hours of sleep and now has to get up. Like, she was
Oh,
just
man.
out.
Oh, man, that's, yeah.
And I couldn't do anything because I was the one that just stands there. So I
Yeah.
couldn't move or anything. I couldn't, like, go to try. We didn't know we could, like, swap out for a minute. And I'm like, did you, like, shake the rack? Did you, like, tap the bar or something? Like,
Yeah, and we're
did
not
you,
allowed
like,
to touch
pull
each
on the
other.
corner of the pillow?
I forgot we're not allowed to touch each other.
Yeah, so, like, you just sitting there going, hey, 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 while also trying not to wake anybody else up.
For those of you that don't know, the rover is the people that walk around and make sure that there's no fire, nobody's fighting in the compartment where you're at. And then the watch that she's talking about was, what was it called again?
It's like,
It's basically just a door watch where you stand at one section of you stand at the door and you make sure that nobody's gonna come in.
I think it was just Night Watch.
Yeah, night watch, something like that.
It's a while ago.
I was actually never allowed to be rover
I
because
was always Rover. I
of
was Rover,
the
like,
deck lock. Because I always the two times that I had rover, I fucked up the deck lock, and once because I
I was the one
didn't
who kept
know.
fixing it. So always on Rover. Like, I think I was Rover at least twice per day.
Because I have horrible handwriting, that's why.
Oof.
Like I was telling you guys a few minutes ago, the spaces, I would fill the entire space. And you're not supposed to fill the entire space in case you misspell a word and you can one-line it and just write above it.
Oh yeah, see, I usually write small,
That's
so I had to
why
write
you're
bigger.
rover.
And then, yeah. Yeah. I think my worst is I'd like start signing it off way too far to the right. So like it'd be big and then it would like get really small.
I did it all the
as
time.
try
It'd
to
be
do it.
big, and then the next word would go like this, and then I wrote big again, and it was just weird, like
It was
on the back
that's
thing.
always that's like the worst thing I had trouble with because like I didn't know it wasn't like for a few days so I figured out all right I need like this much space then I'll start here. Like in the beginning I wouldn't leave enough space and it just ooh.
Yeah. I know. Right after the 48 hours at night in our division, we actually had a couple of guys get at each other. Basically, one took a swing, the other one chased him around the room for a while, screaming and hollering. Like, surprisingly, we didn't get in trouble. So, and we all made it through. But the question is how is it that because I've heard that the female side usually they've had some cat fights and things like that. So how did you guys manage to make it through without causing so much harm to anybody?
Don't start fights. Honestly, just don't go after anybody. If you just either don't talk to everybody, which is kind of tough, like you probably pick a few people to talk to that, you know, you learned, hey, I don't really piss you off by talking to you, and you don't really piss me off. So, like, they tend to be the people you try to, like, get to help you do things, or you try to work with them more. Because you learn really fast. If I say, if I even look at that person, they will try to fight me. So just, like, avoid them at all costs. Just don't talk to them. If you have to work with them, just stay silent. Don't look at them. Just do what you gotta do. But for me, I didn't really have much trouble with that because I was always, after, like, taps happened, I would help people. Like, I was really good at the folding thing. So, like, at night I'd sit down with a couple people and I'd help them, like, practice folding so they can do it better and easier without messing it up so much. Plus, we found the binder pretty early that had the step-by-step with pictures.
Oh yeah, like that's right. I was one of the special divisions.
Yeah, but we didn't get our iPads until
What do you mean
freaking,
special
like,
divisions?
fourth.
We had iPads.
iPads.
I did not have an iPad. That was
Yeah.
just Ryan.
Yeah, that's temporary. They don't have no division has iPads now.
Oh, that's
All that's out of it.
well,
All
I'm
that's
glad
gone.
I was part of it because yeah, you have no idea how happy we were to get our iPads the fourth week because for those of you at home, the reason they were giving us iPads, they were trying it out with specific divisions. They were trying to see if we could, with the newer technology, learn faster and learn better and retain the information better by giving us like a little flashcard game and another game for ranks and stuff to learn them. Clearly
I
it
had
didn't
that.
work because none of us cared. But
You can
I
still
would
get
love
those
that.
games.
What?
You can download those games on your phone.
I don't want those stupid games.
No,
my phone.
on
They
your
suck.
phone, but like, I wish I had them in boot camp because that would have helped me.
That was fourth week right there. They came in and they brought in the big the cart that charges all the iPads and stuff, and then I was so happy because I emailed my mom that first Sunday, the one Sunday, and I emailed my mom. I was like, Mom, I can email, but I can only email at this certain time on Sundays. So email me back, and then she didn't really respond the first time. And in the first email I sent, I was like, send memes, and my dad made her send me like 2 memes. And it was the one construction meme where the dudes are like 40 years old and they have the like 20-foot long pipes on their arms and they're going like this. And it goes, I can be an adult, and they're like this, and it was that was my background for like 3 weeks. And I didn't get in trouble because nobody caught.
I just got your message.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get caught, it's fine.
That is a bad message.
Yeah.
to send.
Don't do it.
It's-
There's no iPads anymore.
Yeah, no iPads, so that they won't be able to have that benefit. Our division, we just kind of finally clicked. We realized that we couldn't get rid of each other, so we may as well just do what was required, and then at night not talk to the people we didn't like.
Actually, anything reminds me. We did that too, but not through iPads, obviously. Parents would, they would have their letters, and then they'd like print out memes, and they'd cut them out, and they'd put it in the envelope with the letter, and would send that.
I know a few people
So
that
then we
got
had
those.
stacks of just funny things. So we had to make it last, though, because they could only send so much at once. So they'd be like, they'd pass like couple to like every few racks, and then that'd be theirs for the day. But
Yeah.
it was good.
The one thing that really irritated everybody is if your parents sent snacks to the mail, you couldn't have them.
Oh,
yeah.
I have 2 great stories about that. It was probably right around the 3rd or 4th week, maybe the 5th week. My mom sent a package about this big by about this big, and I opened it up in front of everybody, like at the table or whatever, while everybody was doing shit. I opened it up, and it's just full of this one big package of Haribo mini gummy bears, and there's a letter on the front, and the RDC made me read the letter in front of him. Because I read it first and I was like, petty officer, I have to read this out loud. And he's like, all right, Ryan, stand at attention. And I stood at attention and I took the letter. And I read out loud, it's like, dear my lovely little Maddie. And it was like, please tell your RDCs to make sure they eat these gummy bears in front of you and in smell distance. Because I know you can't have them. And I was like, thanks, Mom. Thanks. Let me tell you, by the end of boot camp, they were gone. They were completely gone. And then the second package I got was about week 6 or 7. And I couldn't get it open. I didn't have a knife. So I just like shoved my finger in between them and I ripped it. And I ended up ripping the whole entire package down the side and just overflow of just Twizzlers. All over the table, all over the floor. And my RDC took it and he's like, God damn it, Ryan. He just took it and went back to the to the fishbowl and it was awesome.
We had someone do that, but we had to open the packages in the actual fishbowl.
Yeah.
And she got it mostly open, and there was like tissue paper on top. But like as she was ripping it open, she dropped the box and it flipped over, and it was like loose Skittles and M&Ms that just went everywhere.
Oh, no.
Because her mom had the same idea.
Why were they loose? I don't understand.
For that exact reason.
Oh my God.
Because she sent a letter home about it and got it back in big letters. It was like, ha ha ha, I was hoping that was gonna
Oh
happen.
my gosh.
So for about the next week, they had us cleaning in there every day because every day we'd find like handfuls of like Skittles and M&Ms
Oh my gosh.
underneath the desks and all around. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom sent a package of gum this tall as well with the freaking Twizzlers. My favorite brand, like the shaker things that are like come in the little tiny cubes. My RDCs understood this. They took the package and they shook it. And they're like, this is candy. Fuck.
Yeah. No, we had one person. They got a box of Oreos. That's all I came in was Oreos,
Oh.
and came in. He had to stand at attention and do the whole opening and everything. And what Chief did is every week at Sunday, he'd come in and sit there and eat a half a freaking thing of Oreos because he got the tubes.
Mm-hmm.
So I got half the tube in front of him and would give him one. As a teaser. You get one and you get the whole next week without having a freaking cookie.
I can't, honestly, because of the way boot camp is, with us not having any sugar, not having any coffee, caffeine, nothing, except for the stuff you got at the galley, honestly, I can't say that would have helped me at all, having an Oreo on a Sunday. I would rather just cold turkey all the sugar than have one Oreo.
Someone else had a big bag of like Dunkin' Donuts coffee sent to them. So
Oh.
every morning, Chief made coffee, and we could all
Yeah.
smell it.
Oh man.
Yeah, the worst one had to have been the guys getting pictures from the girlfriends back at home because
Oh,
some of the girlfriends
oh.
had sent pictures that were not appropriate.
Yes.
That was probably the worst.
Yes.
Because they had to be pulled into the office and talked to about it on the side, especially if one of the females came over and saw.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The lewdy pictures.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was bad. So that covered that the boot camp stories. So after boot camp,
Well, yeah.
after graduation of boot camp, meeting your family, everything, and then having to go over to A school.
That part sucked because we're all FCs. So for you guys back at home, we were all in dress whites, right? It was dress whites. And we were told before graduation, hey, don't get attached to your family and don't hang around them real fast after graduation because you have to catch the bus. You have to go next door across the street to your A school. And I saw my family for 10 minutes. I gave them all a hug. I was like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I have to go. So I ran out on them and had to go catch the stupid bus that ended up being late. And then you have to check into the A school and everything. And that was the most fun part though, was going to the A school, getting off the bus, and then everybody
everyone's
in
there
Essex,
clapping.
yeah, everybody was clapping, woo, yeah. There was like at least 100 people back in the 600s. And
Yeah.
they took your big and heavy sea bag in your backpack, and all you had to carry was your photos and the folder with all your information in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, cool, this is your new rack, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool, meet us downstairs in like an hour, and we're going to go through orientation and tell you where your family can pick you up. And you can go have your weekend with them. You have to be back at 22. So that was kind of sucked, but it was pretty cool at the same time. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, because the girl who ended up grabbing my bag, she picked it up and she's like, "Oh, this is nothing. I work out every day." And then she took pretty much everything from me, and then gave like the garment bag to her friend. She's like, "That's harder to carry." And like she walked me up and she was talking to me about like the rules all the way up and like walking me through everything. And
Honestly, I think
I got there like a minute before you.
Yeah.
Because then you walked in after.
Yeah, I think the best part about that was because I expected to see my family, so I expected to be happy for that. But I wasn't expecting to get a greeting of hundreds of hands clapping and woo yeah, ooh yeah, blah 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 when I got off the bus. Like that was like the best feeling ever. Like I had actually done something.
That's
Yeah.
probably why we continued it later. Because I
Yes.
know I ended up helping getting new drops later.
Yeah.
And like I was there and I was like, you know what, this is their weekend. Make them feel great.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a little different. I was over 800.
Yeah.
To go over to an all-male building, getting my bags carried in and
We're
everything.
from England.
So I come in and I salute aboard like I would for boot camp, coming into one of the buildings, and right after, just as I drop my salute, they call attention on deck. There was no officer there. I popped to attention so fast, and then they all started laughing at me, and I was just like, because I was at the point to where they were like, "Oh yeah, come aboard," and I was like, grabbed my covers. I'm like, "Ah." And then they all started laughing. That was my first introduction to the Navy.
That makes sense.
You get effed with.
Though.
You get messed with. First introduction to the Navy. That was pretty. It was a good icebreaker. So after I went through orientation and everything, my parents weren't there for graduation or anything. So I basically just walked around base, figuring out where everything was. And then when everybody else was trying to figure out where everything was, I already knew where it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to see your parents then?
Not until I took leave for winter stand down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so far. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't have the money to come out and see me. But after getting there, having to go through ATT,
Remind me.
that
Yeah.
that was horrible. And then A school, like, what was the, in your opinion, like probably, like the best and worst things about it?
ATT and A school?
Yeah.
ATT was the worst, A school was the best. There you
It
go.
really was.
ATT, because what was it? It was a year and a half of college shoved into how many months? 12 weeks?
It was.
Yeah.
10
At
weeks?
least
It was 10
10
weeks.
weeks. 12 weeks.
So it was like a year and a half of specialized college classes
These were 11.
in 10 weeks. And that sucked. That sucked a lot. I failed 4 tests. Like, but it was just enough where it would be 2 weeks apart where I wouldn't get in trouble and have to go to an ARB, Academic Review Board. So
Yeah.
happy about that.
I had to do the academic review board just because the way I freaking missed my tests. And I missed my tests over stupid things. I was misreading questions and stuff. I wasn't really. So I did it, but it was also the first class I was in. They weren't exactly the best of people. They were loud, obnoxious, and
Didn't focus.
they were arrogant.
There you go.
We're the smartest ones in the schoolhouse
No, you're not.
type of a deal, and they went off to A school before I did, and I was dealing with everybody else.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing about ATT that I didn't like was how strict ATT was.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't sit there and talk. They didn't want you talking because they wanted you studying.
Yes.
So it had to be like you couldn't
Silent.
talk. If you weren't in the classroom, you had to be outside in lines at attention,
And if
which
you weren't
that
lunch-
was boring.
Yes. They marched us to lunch, which was literally a football field down the road.
Oh, marched us to lunch, marched us to school, marched us home from school. It was
Marched us back from lunch.
yeah, a
'Cause we
lot of
can't-
marching.
Apparently, we can't cross the street on our own.
See,
It kind of once it was explained to me, it kind of made sense that cars going by.
Traffic, yeah.
And you've got all these students trying to cross at once,
Mhm.
and you get this car that'll stop and let some students go, and
And then
before they start to take off again, somebody else jumps out in front of them.
Yep.
So it created a big issue. So that's why the marching was put in
Glow
place.
belts.
Yeah, glow belts, those were funny. Yeah, I need a glow belt to walk around at dusk
Like, and when I'm in uniform.
in uniform because our uniforms are dark and people can't see.
I'm gonna be honest though, middle of the winter.
It
I was
got
in
dark.
someone. I was with one of my friends in the car. We were driving down the road and we really didn't see someone.
Yeah, those
Because
Glow
they
belt
weren't
didn't help,
wearing their
though.
glow. Yeah, it did. Because we saw the only reason we saw that one kid is because the kid with him had his glow belt and that kid didn't.
Let me tell you,
And
those
he was.
that blue.
I did a
uniform-
lot of the guys. I see them
we
walking
could not
around.
see him until he was like 5
If they had their
feet.
backpack on and it was over the glow belt, I couldn't see it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it
because
was
it's covered
pointless.
with glow belt. That's what I liked the special
The
warfare
pre-
guys,
yeah, the
pre-buds, and yeah, the prep dudes. They always had it over their backpack, which was kind of smart. You can't really see it from the front, but
Well, those there's a reason why the Navy did that for them. For us, they were like, yeah, if you're stupid enough to step out in front of traffic, you're a dummy. So we're gonna put this glow belt on you just to save your life in case you are stupid.
Mhm.
But with them, they were like, no, we're gonna put this extra glow belt on you around your backpack because you're a high valuable item to us. Because if they make it through all that money that the Navy is spending on them to go through that training and everything else, their job is the Navy spends more money on special forces than they do on any of the other jobs. And these guys drop out, they do things, and they're trying to do everything to keep them in the best condition they can. So they didn't have a choice.
they get paid. Like I was always irritated at ATT, the preschool to A school. I was always irritated because they got paid to work out 3 times a day. I mean, they never got third phase Liberty, which I guess kind of
That's
makes
because
sense.
they weren't there long enough
Yeah.
to really value it, and they didn't want them making stupid decisions.
Yes. But like that, man, if I could have gotten paid to just fucking work out 3 times a day, I'd fucking
Yeah.
do it.
He did it as boot camp.
Yeah, but that was like all day working out. We were constantly doing shit.
ATT wasn't so bad when I started working there though,
Mhm.
because then I was
Because they were
treated
kind
like
of
staff.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely was, because like I was allowed to talk in the hallways. I was allowed to talk. I was allowed to walk into classrooms because I had to deliver something. And
Yeah, it's just
I
while
was
you're a
just
student,
treated
it was difficult. Saying that was kind of similar with A school. A school was more lax, but there were still certain things about A school that we were just like, oh my god, I cannot wait to get away from this. Having to scream Sailor's Creed right after lunch. That it was annoying that we had to scream it
Yes.
out for everybody instead of doing it in the classroom like you would do other
And then
places.
and then when the snow came that winter and we were stuck inside doing it because it was negative something degrees outside or it was some stupid wind chill factor or whatever, and we all had to cram on the one side of the freaking hallway of
Yeah.
the building. Like, what the hell? That's stupid.
And it still spilled out the sides.
Yeah,
too.
it was. It was over 400 people just.
That's why
trying
they
to-
started. That's why towards the end of the winter they started separating it deck by deck,
Yeah,
which made it much nicer.
it was a lot less people.
Yeah. And being with it being at winter time, I know I hated the freaking cold. I absolutely hated it. Oh my god, my ears thought my ears were gonna fall off a few times. Did you guys like the winter in Illinois, or did you guys? Whatever. I know you're from New York, so you're a little more used to the cold than I am from being from the West Coast.
I'm used to a different kind of cold because in New York,
Thank you.
it's cold, just in general, but we don't have a lot of wind.
Yeah.
In
because-
Chicago.
Because where I lived, we rarely had much wind unless it was actually storming. So, and when it's actually storming, no one really wants to go out there anyway. So when you walk outside, just the layers are fine. Where Chicago, the wind bites through all of your layers, and like there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, the Chicago wind is so much different than because I'm from here in Virginia, and here in Virginia it gets cold, yeah, but we don't have a wind that'll cut you to the bone no matter what layers you have on. Like the parka that they gave us in boot camp with the liner on top of it, and then you have a turtleneck maybe or the neck gaiter or whatever you're wearing as well. That didn't help. It didn't, and it didn't cover your legs either. Like I would walk outside and my front would be pretty warm. My whole like top half would be pretty warm, kind of. And then my legs, you couldn't feel them after 5 minutes of walking outside.
Yeah.
And I walked, like, I was one of the weirdos that wouldn't wait for lib to drop. I would sign out on like a chow pass in uniform, and then I'd come back and I wouldn't change, and I would just sign back out when they finally started dropping Liberty again back at the Cole.
Mm-hmm.
But so I would be out there in uniform, my legs were freezing. And that's the only bad part about it though.
Yeah.
After that, I don't feel my ears anymore, so.
I even got like a wind jacket, which is made to like stop the wind from hurting so much, and it still went through that. Like nothing I could do would stop it.
I had to
And
get
I hated it because I hate being cold in general. Because like as much as you enjoy being cold, I do not. I hung out in your room for a while and it was cold in there, and you were fine, and I was wrapped up in your blanket. Like I hate the cold.
Yeah. I didn't think that the stocking caps and everything helped either. I
No,
thought
the knit caps, no.
if anything, they just absorbed my sweat.
Yeah, it was,
I always
gross.
open the armpit flaps. I always opened them. Always. Because it's one of those things like when you walk outside and you're doing like when the whole Cole got in trouble for not doing something, or we had bad room inspects or whatever, and they made us go outside with trash cans and brooms and dustpans and stuff to try and shovel snow out of the parking lot. I was out there, I was a Tiger Crew, but like it's the when you're going outside to work and you know you're gonna sweat in all of this stuff. I'm just glad it had the armpit flaps. Because I know I'm going to sweat. I'm just going to open them up right now and not get sweat. Because the worst thing you want to do in a winter, especially up north, especially in Chicago, is be wet in the cold. It just makes it so much worse.
Because when you stop working, it's going to freeze you and make
And it's
you
cold.
so
It makes you so much colder.
And Chicago is the only place where I've actually seen it where it was snowing, but with the wind so hard that the side of the building was the only thing getting snow on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The wind drifts and stuff. Yeah, I remember that.
That I've seen before.
Especially when you were downtown and you go into Chicago and downtown and you're walking and then you take a step out from between two buildings and you almost get knocked over by the wind, and you look up and there's just this tunnel of snow hitting this building right on the side, and it's just solid ice the next day.
What I had never seen before going up to Chicago and hanging out in Chicago a few weekends was they had little signs that said, "Watch out for icicles because the icicles will fall off the building and they can kill you."
Oh yeah, those are
I had
dangerous.
never that was not a thing. It's not a thing around here.
That's a thing. That's a thing in New York.
I had no idea that was weird.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Like we'd sit there, we'd check up other icicles over the top of the roof so we could get those down, because we don't want them falling on us later, especially over doorways, because you got to make sure those are not.
Yeah. Because even though they look really pretty and kind
Even
of
though
magical,
they look fine. You're like, oh, it's ice. It's gonna hit me and it's gonna break because it's ice. But like the big ones, those will go through you.
Yes.
yeah.
They can do some
And not to
damage.
mention, they had that sign up at the Cole as well, watch for
Yeah.
falling ice, because of the
They had
sheer
the
metal.
overhang.
Yeah, the metal roof. And
Yeah.
all of it would just fall off as like 100-pound chunks of ice
Yeah.
and snow, and that could kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that wind could lift you up. Because I remember coming back from school, we were in night school, and we were walking up, coming back from Mid-Rats, and like, I was in the air for a few seconds, and it scared the shit out of me. Because like, I went, and I was like, I'm starting to trip, and the wind just lifted me up from like underneath, and I went like face first, like I ended up belly flopping on the ground. Because it just lifted me up enough that I couldn't like reorient myself, and it just dropped me.
Yeah.
It was the scariest thing. I thought I was like about to fly away or something, because it just caught me and I was going, and I was like, this is my life now.
Oh yeah, there was a few that people like even when we were marching and that wind would come by and would hit really hard. The ones I felt really bad for were the shorter people that were light
Yeah.
with that parka on. It was almost like a kite.
Yeah, it was.
So it would
That's
hit
why I
them and it
thought-
would just poof, and
Because
then
when-
pick them up.
That's why, because when I tripped, I went like this to like try to catch myself, and just it caught my little wings and just picked me up. Because the parko nest is like so much of it is like empty space. Like
Well, yeah, it's
amazing
empty.
for transporting snacks. Not good when the wind is hitting you and decides
Yeah.
to make you fly.
And the park is designed to not only be water resistant, it's also supposed to be wind resistant, so that way the water, it's perfectly 100% waterproof. And that sucker, it still didn't help because the wind, if there's a way in, it'll find a way in.
Yeah.
It didn't help with the rain.
Even better if like the wind would like go around things and bring the rain with it.
Well, mine did. Mine did fine with the rain.
Okay, so what I never understood was the parkas. There's always like half of them are waterproof, and the other half are just not. Like
Yeah, it
because
depends on what you have. Because mine is
Well,
waterproof.
Mine
Did you
is
guys
not.
wash
Yours
your
is not.
parkas?
no,
Yeah, I never did wash mine. Mine was.
it was
Yeah,
just,
mine was fine, but hers wasn't.
Certain-
Because
Was yours a bit off colored?
I don't know. I never looked at it like that. But it
Yeah, the ones that were off colored never freaking stopped the rain.
Yeah.
it's 50
Because I remember when the flood happened,
oh
and I took off my parka, you can see the line where it was, which saved my phone, thankfully, and like my wallet. But then Ryan took hers off, and she was wet the whole way
Wet.
down.
shoulders like top of me like
Everything was just,
all the way
everything got wet.
down. To my phone and all my pants because the parka comes down to like right here, everything right here and like just this section because it was just soaking and just touching me. All of this was wet. My butt was wet. Everything was wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember spring when we thought that the rain may have been done
Uh-huh.
and everybody's out. It's a nice freaking like 85-degree day, like 85, about 70 degrees in that area. And you see the clouds coming in and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go to the galley real quick, eat, and then come back. And in the time that it took you to get to the galley, it poured
Yeah.
so bad. And you did
Downpour.
not have your parka liner on you because it freaking just rolled in, rained, and then rolled out. You're just like,
Well, I'm soaked now.
Yeah.
And then I get back to the barracks, I change, and I come out, and I'm like, it's sunny! Where did the rain go? Oh, and then I see all these people coming back, they're completely dry, and I'm like, you are all lucky.
Oh, missed it by
Oh,
like
yeah.
this much.
I remember a few times walking into the galley like that, like walking in and everybody's like, whoa, you look like you got drenched. I was like, yeah, it just fucking ended as I walked through the door.
Oh, the best is when as I'm walking in the door and it stops as someone else is walking out. I'm like, you're lucky. I don't like you now just because you're not gonna get
It's
wet.
it's like you got red light magnets and then you got rain magnets, and I'm fucking both of those. Fucking hated that. Oh my god. So you got another question?
Yeah. Just to put a little separation between schools, when it came to liberty and doing things that you didn't necessarily have to be in school for or on base at all, like what was the things that you guys, like the first thing you guys wanted to go do immediately?
Not galley food.
That
Food
not
that's not
real
from the galley.
food that wasn't friggin' it was okay.
Galley
So
was
galley
good.
food is better than prison food.
but
But it's like, here's prison food, okay? Here's galley food. It's like right there, and you have to be careful what you get about it because it depends. You could have the Salisbury steak and it could be right there, like maybe a little bit above the prison food, but the fucking wraps and shit, fucking below. Fucking just fuck it. You're not even gonna get a freaking wrap, okay? Or the tortilla shells, they just rip apart.
And then you like the mashed potatoes where you're like up here, and then you're like,
Yes.
ooh.
And then the veggie burgers kind of sucked, but the Chipotle mayo sauce at the deli.
that was
The best fucking sauce there.
Oh,
Awesome.
okay.
Back in
It
the
was really hit or miss. It's either like you're up here, you're drawing the line, or you're below it.
And then
You're
the
like,
fruit,
"No,
the
no."
fruit you could never count on. You could walk in one day and it would be perfectly ripe and everything. Like everything was just the bananas were perfectly yellow and the apples were nice and crisp. And then the next day it'll all be bruised and brown and awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no consistency with the galley, that's for sure.
They always said they had Jello and they never had Jello, and I was
I
very
saw
irritated.
Jello once,
I saw it twice.
and me seeing it was it being empty, but I could see like the remnants of there was Jello.
So sad.
And you're just like, man, I probably came like 5 minutes too late. The clam chowder,
Oh,
gone.
I was.
Within like 10 minutes of them taking it out, because you'd see everyone swarm it as she's putting it in, and then like she
I
put the
remember
ladle
that.
in, she'd back up, and then it's gone.
Everybody
Yeah.
would. Okay, so the reason everything was gone was because everybody would wait for Liberty so they could go out in civvies. That's where I got smart, and I just went out with a chow pass in uniform, and I got my clam chowder, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing I had to do, it was as soon as they dropped Liberty, it was eat and drink. That was my thoughts. Like first thing was got to get food because I'm tired of eating the galley food.
Or McDonald's or.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I was just tired of eating whatever they had on base a lot of the time.
Tired of being on base.
And then the other thing is when you're in uniform, you're in the barracks. Those of us who can drink can't drink. So that was the first thing I did. It was like I could go drink and then have a little bit of an escape from base. I don't know what you guys did because you guys weren't able to drink at the time.
No, I went to
Ours was going to like, we went to like
places on the weekend.
Sky Zone, we went to like Six Flags, that's right there. We took trips to Chicago. We just went and did stuff.
And then yeah,
So you guys just went out
Because
and
we went-
adventured? You went and explored
Yeah,
Chicago?
We explored everything.
I didn't go as much as I wanted to, but I went on a couple weekends like overnight when I finally got my phase 3 live. But a lot of the times like for the weekdays in between school, especially back at ATT, between school and trying to go to M&S and open learning and try and keep up with the 12 extra hours you should study at night and blah blah blah. Well, not a night, but a week. I went to the USO. The USO on
Oh yeah.
Great Lakes. The USO there is awesome because they've got a music section, they've got a place where you can make arts and crafts, they've got food and movies,
They've got
video
a bunch
games.
of video game systems. Which
It's
is always
like
good.
that was my savior right there because I like riding horses. I like being outside. So that was my saving grace. That helped me get sane after dealing with all these stupid people all the
Yeah.
time. The stupid rules of
No, me and my buddies, we'd go out obviously to drink a lot. We'd do overnights. We went all the way up.
England.
We went all the way up to the Wisconsin. We had a few guys that actually went over to like south of Illinois. They actually went out of state, which that was a little bit more risky because they were just outside the limit,
Liberty radius, yeah.
Yeah.
which was what 300 miles or something like that.
Yes, 300 straight.
But yeah, we did that. But the thing I like to do the most was obviously go out and actually explore and do outdoors events. Like I went out and I rented a kayak and I took it out on the lake.
I did that too. I went with a friend and we went kayaking.
Or I'd go fishing.
I
I went fishing.
I don't remember why you didn't go this. We went horseback riding and we ended up going to a
Duty
beach.
day.
Was it your duty
It
day?
was my duty day. I remember that. I was
Yeah.
stuck
I'm
doing
so sorry.
nothing, and it was my duty day.
I'm so sorry.
Because I know, okay, Saturday duty is the worst fucking duty.
It
Because
is.
you have
It
to
is.
be there early Saturday morning, and you have to be there early Sunday morning. So it just fucks your whole weekend plan, because you have to be back at a certain time on Sunday,
Yeah.
which is irritating.
Yeah. Well, everybody I knew always hated weekend duties. Just for the fact is it kind of just took away our weekend.
See, I loved Sunday duty though, like as much as you could love duty.
Yes!
Because it forced me to stay home and get stuff done. It forced me to do my
Exactly.
laundry and
Why
get
do you
some sleep and like actually do my homework and stuff like that. Like I didn't mind the Sunday ones because it
You'd
made
be
me
forced
do
to do that? Holy crap.
Well, it was duty days are them forcing us to stay on base. Well, they have to have people manning some of the watches and stuff to make sure they check IDs and for everybody to come on board. But duty days, if you weren't on watch and you didn't have anything to do, it was the time that you're like, well, shit, I can't leave the ship unless I'm going to eat, and I can only eat these certain time of day. So yes, I can get stuff done.
That's why I didn't like it that the ships wouldn't do what the England did.
Which was
On our duty days, we were allowed an hour and a half to go to the gym.
lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
So we'd
have
go to
that.
the gym and use that as an escape because It's like, well, because thinking about it,
On a normal
We
shift,
clean-
you
we
would
would-
have a gym on it
we
anyway.
would clean the barracks 3 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
and we would stand our watches, and everybody got to stand a 2 to a 4 hour watch every day.
Yeah.
Not everybody
Every duty did.
had different. You weren't doing it all day long, so there was a lot of downtime, and you were bored. Well, what are you gonna do? Push-ups in your room, your dirty floors and stuff that you're sharing with somebody else that may not be the cleanest person, or since we were able to get everything done, we went and talked to our NMTIs, and they said we'll give you. We're able to approve an hour and 20 minutes for the gym. That 20 minutes is 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back, in an hour to work out. And we said we can do that, and we got there, and we were there and back, and we did it. Now, not everybody followed it. They wanted to go do things they weren't supposed to do in that hour, but the majority of us went to the gym. We were like, it's better than sitting around doing nothing, and not only am I making my body look better, I'm getting healthier. It's,
Preparing you for the PRT.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could use it for that too, but most of us were just trying to get as jacked as we could. And then when we went over to the Cole, we didn't have to worry about that because there was a gym on the freaking barracks.
Yeah.
So we were in the barracks, there was a gym in it, so it wasn't a big issue.
It wasn't a big gym, but it was enough for you to be able to use it, especially because the whole reason they had it was because of night school.
Yeah.
I'm
None of the
actually,
gyms were open when we were
that's
able to do anything.
so far the smartest thing I've ever seen the Navy do was have a gym on a ship on a night ship, because
Yeah, on
all
the
the gyms would be
barracks,
closed
yeah.
when we would get
Until
out.
they shifted to a day shift.
Yeah, that was just stupid. Cole wasn't that bad though.
It wasn't. I think the worst thing about the cold was just how bad my diet got. Because it
Yeah.
turned into just the vending machine.
The thing I didn't like
There,
about being a night
night
student was
students.
I'd sleep through all day and then
Yep.
be up at night, and then it was just my whole schedule ended up backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then of course some of the things that we had to follow because the NMTIs weren't making us do things. It was students that they put in charge making us do stupid things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they were being, and the NMTIs had backed them up because they were leadership, and it really made things hell because the students didn't know what they were doing and they didn't have guidance.
Yeah, and then some of them got power hungry. Some of them thought they were bigger than what they were, like, and they took advantage of of us that were still in school.
Yeah,
And
they
it
were,
was bad.
yeah, it got really bad. It was basically huge issues there.
Hey man, if you can't be used as a good example, at least you can be used as a bad one. So
Yeah.
you can learn something from every person you come to.
All right. Upon changing commands
Oh,
from Illinois, going to C school,
you can go first.
what like
Okay.
even through C school, like what was it the bit that you guys thought would could have been like, or you thought was pointless, or was a nice change?
So you're asking the differences
Yeah, basically different.
between A school and C school? Go ahead, you got this
Why am I the one answering
one.
this?
Because we changed command at the same time.
Yeah, she and I
And
changed.
it was like we both can cooperate off of each other's stories, and you don't have somebody to do that with. So I'm just gonna let you go.
Thanks.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Sorry, I got stuck in Great Lakes longer.
I am sorry because then we could be friends for a while, and then you came back, and it was okay.
What was the question?
Was it
It was a really long question.
basically the differences between A school and C school and the Liberty policy and what you liked better about
Well, I
coming
have
to
a
C
lot
school?
more freedom here, a lot more time, and we don't have to have special chits to get our cars.
Or leave
But
our
you
laptops
needed-
on our desks.
Yeah, no, I don't do that anyway.
I
But
don't know. I don't either, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I got. A lot more freedom. I don't have to wait for a Liberty to drop to be able to go out on Liberty. I can actually just like, okay, they said I'm done with work today or I'm done with school. I can.
yeah, you can go get the things done you have to get done, and you're not stuck waiting for someone to like finish the paperwork and get everything pulled
Yeah.
through.
I don't have to show proof of medical to go to medical. I can just go and get what I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
done. I like that. I actually like the fact that at C school you're not treated like you're a high
Child.
school kid anymore. You're now actually treated like you're an adult.
Yeah,
And
they expect you to be
you-
there place
yeah.
on time and everything.
Yeah, our
yeah.
only job right now is to be to school on time, learn, get good grades.
in the
and
right uniform of the day.
Yeah, that's it.
With the
That's it.
transition, I think the only thing really bad about the transition is I didn't know. They don't really tell you where you're checking in, what you have to do. Like the only reason I knew anything is because I asked her who already did
Yes.
it. Because
Twice.
it was basically, well, I put you on the plane. Good luck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah,
they gave you
that's-
was a fucking plane ticket. They're like, all right, cool, be here at the airport. All right, see ya. Cool.
Yeah,
There's
so
not
like you
anything
get on
else?
the airplane, you're like, that's cool. So you get off and you're like,
What the fuck do I do now?
where's the base? How do I get to the base? I don't know any taxi numbers here. And then if you do make it to the base, because I happen to have someone again who was here was able to drive me. That was not you. You didn't pick me up from the airport.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You picked up Christy.
Ugh.
But then I got here and I was like, okay, great. Now I'm at the base. Now what? Like you can't just walk into any building you want because you can walk into
Locked.
like an officer building or it's locked because I came on a Sunday where everything is closed anyway. And I didn't even know that the main building that you go to was closed that day. You're supposed to go to the separate building, and like
Yeah.
there was no instructions on the packet they gave me. Said nothing about this. It was just
Yeah,
good luck.
trying to decipher
Trying to-
orders and everything, that was a big pain.
Even the orders didn't say anything either, because I did go through them, and I was like, yeah, it just says check in a Dimnick. I'm here in the middle of a street. What am I doing?
Yeah, yeah.
That irritated the crap out of me, and that wasn't even the first. That wasn't even the worst part for us because we flew in at the same time. We came here to go to Norfolk, and then
Missing our bags.
yes, that's what I was about to get to. The airport, because there were so many people, military, on the flight, and it wasn't the big 737 or whatever the big airplane is. It was a small one that has 2 seats and 1 seat.
Yeah.
3 rows of people, and that was it. Because there were so many people with military bags, they took half of everybody's military bag. They took half of everybody's sea bag. So I had 2. You had what, 3?
I can't remember.
It was 2 or 3 or something. Artema had freaking 7 or something, and all of hers got taken. She didn't have anything, and I was able to keep my backpack with
See,
me.
that's why I always take a carry-on.
Yes,
And
that's
you take your most
Yes.
valuable stuff that you really don't want to lose, and you keep a pair of clothes.
a pair of work clothes. So for you at home, if you're joining the Navy and you're flying, always take the shirt that goes under your uniform, a pair of your NWs, and whatever other uniform you might need. Probably not the dress uniform. And
And I made sure of that, and I
Yes.
even wore my boots because it was harder to pack than sneakers. So
Yes.
instead of wearing, I look stupid, but like if something were to happen to my bags, I had a uniform that I could go into, so that I could get on the base and still be at least better than being in civilian clothes, checking in and doing what I needed to do.
Who was it you that you didn't have any of your N-dubs?
I didn't have anything.
You had none of your working uniforms.
We arrived at the airport at 10 something at night. And we're going through and we're at the baggage claim and we're all waiting for bags and we're all like, where the hell are all the sea bags? And then the carousel stops. They're like, what the hell? And then they're like, all right, cool, if you don't have a bag, you're missing your bag, come over to the office. And there's a line of like 15 people missing friggin' bags. And they're like, yeah, well, the plane was too small, so we had to leave them behind. And they managed to take the 1 sea bag that had all of my uniforms in it. Yeah, that somehow they managed to do that with pretty much everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
So it's now 11 o'clock
Look
at
at
night.
look at the draw. You're missing 1 bag. Oh, it's got all your uniforms in it.
I've learned from that mistake. So
I
lo
do
and
better.
behold, it's 23, and we're like, all right, cool. We finally gave them all our information. They're gonna text us when they have the bags. So where do we go from here? Now we're still sitting at the airport, and we're calling people that are on the orders. They're like, yeah, you should go here. I'm pretty sure. Are you pretty sure? What? Whatever. And we ended up taking a cab, and the cab was expensive, of course. And they got us. The cab actually was pissed off. He didn't like us for some reason, and he dropped us off because we went and checked in at Norfolk. So he dropped us off at the main barracks building where you're not supposed to go just yet. And he's like, all right, cool. And then he hopped out of the car, opened the back, and started chucking our shit out. So he's over there checking our shit, and we're like, all right, cool. And we're grabbing our shit, and we put it in a pile. We walk in, we're like, hey, we're new here. What do we do? And they're like, you're new here. All right, sign this paperwork. Have you checked in yet? Where are we supposed to go? You're supposed to go to this building. Oh, okay. Well, all right, we can do that right now. Where's your cabbie? He left. And they're like, fuck. Thank God they had a truck to carry all of our crap to, one, the barracks, because we weren't staying in that building, and two, to check us into the actual base, so we didn't get charged to leave days.
Yeah.
That was helpful.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff that was going on. Like, we were not supposed to be staying in the barracks, but since we didn't have any vehicles, they didn't. They went ahead and put us in the barracks, which they weren't supposed to do, which was nice.
Yes.
Because we're supposed to be in a hotel. Even now in the schools that we're in, we're supposed to be in hotels, but we got barracks instead because
We didn't have cars.
you don't have a vehicle. How are you going to get back and forth to base? So they did that. We ended up do a whole lot of looking through, reworking. I was surprised at how much information I was able to find, decipher out of my orders of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge surprise, and a lot of that because nothing was really clear and concise, and anybody who you asked that was supposed to know what they were talking about did not know what they were talking about.
And then you got 3 different stories from 2 different people, and it just was fucked.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, that's
transition.
I know the
got
math
here.
doesn't line up, but it makes sense if you're in the Navy.
Yeah, so transition from shore command to shore command, they are completely lost.
Yeah, I noticed that here too because for like just orientation for the next day, I got 3 different times and 2 different uniforms.
Yep.
Like they couldn't even decide what uniform I should be wearing when I made it there.
No.
I was like, at this point, I might as well just go in my dress white.
Well, it's like we went to 2M and they were like, yeah, show up in NSUs. We got told this by an officer.
Yeah.
And so we show up in NSUs and they're like,
Yeah, you're not.
you're in the wrong uniform. Ah!
At least I was just happy that it was me, you, and LeBlanc all that got told that, and all 3 of us showed up at NSUs, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys fucked up." I was just happy I wasn't the only one. Okay.
Yeah. Like we needed a number to call.
So
No.
end-ups.
What?
So end-ups.
Yeah, it was end-ups. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
but-
told you.
You're getting that class too, right? The 2M
Yeah,
class?
after this.
Yes,
Yeah.
end-ups.
And you
Got it.
said you were going mod 8 or?
Yeah.
So they're going to have you do mod 8 and then go, or are they
Yeah.
going to have you do the
Mod 8
2M
and
first? Okay.
How stupid would be like pause this, what you're learning, and
Isn't
you're
that
just gonna
what?
retain, and then you're gonna go do this, and then you're gonna come back, and I hope you remembered.
Hey, Chief managed to do it.
That's true.
Isn't Bent? Isn't she doing that too? Or
She's
did
on the
she just?
2M. She goes to the fleet.
Oh, okay, never mind.
She's 4'6".
Mhm. And then, oh man, I was happy. I don't even know how. We checked into this base with FC2.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay,
When we
so
went
that's
from Norfolk, where 2M school is, to
here.
this school out here, it was different. And then out here, they should have just thrown us in hotels because it was a big chaos. They put us in a barracks with A school students and then
yeah.
wanted us
I
to
was
start
so
trying to act like we were A school students again.
And then we got
After we had just left where
Yeah.
the fleet really was.
give us the lip cards and shit. But yeah, because we're supposed to be over here, and then they kicked us out from old. That whole bug's fucked. Yeah, they kicked us out from old, and then we're stuck here until you the 5th and mine the 7th. So then we go back home. But
Yeah. When is your old? You say you're going to Japan for Ultimate?
Eventually.
San Diego first, then
Yeah.
we're changing home ports.
Yeah, I have a lot of running around to do. I'm gonna be
You need to stop
the
scratching
expert.
Yeah,
You're bleeding.
I got it. Yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna be the expert at switching commands.
You're an expert at switching commands. Yeah. So, if you guys didn't really catch that, all 3 of us are going to different commands and we're done here. I'll be going to San Diego. Ryan's going to be going to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And Tillman here is going to be going to Japan.
Eventually.
Eventually, after San Diego.
After she visits San Diego first. So, yeah, it's very diverse in this group. Even though we all have the same job, we're seeing the world.
Can't wait. I am actually not even going straight to. Well, I'll be going straight to Florida, and then I'm flying out to meet my ship. So don't even know where yet, and that's here in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the worst part so far about being in the Navy is trying to, well, one, because we're figuring all of this out on our own. Like, I'm trying to ask as many people as possible to try and get tips and tricks and stuff. Like, going out to meet your ship, going on deployment, bring as little as you need. 2 pairs of civvies, maybe, and then uniforms. That's it. And then, now that I'm trying to figure out, because I have a car now, I'm trying to figure out where I can put it while I'm out meeting my ship on deployment for 4 to 6 months. And it's hard to do when you're not in the state and you can't just walk around and ask the people where you can park your damn car.
Yeah.
So, and then you gotta, like, that's not the only thing. Like, you have to fill out the paperwork for driving to your next duty station and everything. It's not hard, but it's a lot. It's a lot to do. It really is.
Oh yeah. So up to this point in the Navy, as far as like going back visiting family, have you noticed major changes in yourself, like how you act around people back at home, how you might dress compared to what you used to, how you talk sometimes? Like, have you noticed major changes?
You going?
You can go first.
Alright. I've noticed a really big change when you leave, because I left right after high school. I left my house right after high school, went immediately into boot camp, like literally less than a year later, and I was out of the house. That was it. So now when I go back, things are different. You don't expect them to change. You expect them to always stay the same, but relationships aren't that way. With my parents, they don't treat me as so much as their kid anymore. They treat themselves as, I'm here for you if you have any questions about doing your taxes or something with your car, or I don't know, just relationship advice. But other than that, I'm not going to tell you what to do strictly. So
everything turns more into a suggestion.
Yes, very much. And it's a weird thing to get used to, but it's a nice change. Sometimes, like even with my sisters, we're not the same anymore either. That was one of the biggest things that's one of the hardest parts about being in the Navy as well, and then just growing up in general, is trying to figure out how old relations fit with the new version of the relationship because of the Navy, and then having to leave people behind, like in Great Lakes when I left.
Yeah.
Having to leave all of your friends behind and going somewhere completely different where you know no one, and trying to figure out everything on your own. If you haven't been on your own before, it's kind of scary and it's kind of overwhelming, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. Everybody grows.
Eventually.
Everybody will get a hang of it.
I still don't have a hang of it, but it'll be okay. I'll get there at some point.
I agree to that too, because I know with my parents, I have a lot more respect now, and they don't treat me anywhere close to the same way. Because now I have, like, if I don't want to do something with them, I can just decide to go do something else, and they won't really be upset about it, because they're like, well, I can't force you to do anything anymore.
You're an adult.
You're an adult. They can't pull the you live under my roof anymore, or anything like that. I pay your phone bill.
Yeah.
Like,
it's my phone. No, it's not.
Because at this point, I'm doing everything by myself, and they can't control anything anymore. But at the same time, even though I have a better relationship with them now, my little brother and I don't really talk as much anymore. So there's still distances that happen too, because I've been away for so long. Because he's kind of younger. Yeah, he's kind of younger, and he doesn't know how to act anymore, and I've been gone. And for young kids, a year is a long time to a young kid, and they don't feel like they can just talk to you anymore.
And then you were there when we went up to my parents' house a couple weeks ago, and me and Cawthon were making breakfast.
Yeah.
And I asked my sister if I had a sunburn on, because sunburn on the back of my neck, because we had gone to DC and we were spent the whole day outside, and it hurt. And she walked behind me, and I was hungry and I was tired because I hadn't slept well at all that weekend because I was up for 48 hours. And she smacked me on the back of my neck, and I instantly just flipped. I flipped out. I was yelling. I was screaming, and it was only for a couple minutes, or it wasn't for a couple minutes. It was only for a couple seconds. But because of that, now she knows not to fucking fuck with me like that. She's like, I thought it was funny. I was like, no, you fucked up. And I calmed down a little bit, but I didn't used to do that beforehand. Now it's just, don't fucking touch me. And it's weird because I go up to my family, I'm sure I'll give them a hug or whatever, but it's not.
Distant.
Yeah, it's a distant, different kind of hug. It's weird. It's the weirdest
because
thing.
where you used to be able to sit there and mess with your siblings like that, and
You
like,
used to know them, and now you don't know them because people change with you there or not,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just different.
Mhm.
But that was a good answer.
Yeah, another thing I noticed is like I'll be missing out on a lot of conversations now because they'll know what they're talking about. They'll get into different things.
They have their own inside
Kids will
jokes.
go through different phases and they'll be like really into something, and where I'm not there and like learning about it as they talk to me about it and everything, I won't know what's going on anymore. They'll start talking and I'm just sitting there waiting for the topic to go back to something that I can pitch in with. And the same thing when like we all went to dinner, I would talk to her about something and she would get it and I would get it, and then
But
they
nobody else
wouldn't
at the
get it
table
either.
because they're civilians and they're not there with us. They don't know what we're talking about.
And
That's-
especially with my dad, because he was in the army, so we don't have the same lingo or anything. So I can't even though he was in the military, I still can't sit there and throw out acronyms that we use, because he won't get it. He doesn't know NWU, because for us it's NWUs, for him it's BDU.
Yeah.
It's an entire different word, and it doesn't.
It doesn't
understand it as
mesh
well.
yet.
So I'll still have to decipher the just acronyms that I got used to.
I think that's the hardest part about being in a relationship with a civilian is they don't understand that our job is 24-hour. Right now we're getting paid and we're just sitting here talking. But we are on the clock all the time and we have a standard to uphold and we have to be here at a certain time in a certain uniform, and if we're late we could get in serious trouble. It's not like going to your civilian job and hey, I'm going to call in sick one day. We can't do that. You have to go to medical and get a sick note and bring that in, and then you can go home and sleep in your rack because you're puking your damn brains out and blah blah blah. That's gotta be the hardest part about a civilian relationship though, is they
Yeah.
don't understand.
Especially if like
Yeah.
especially when you switch to night schedules, I
Mhm.
saw a lot of people's relationships get ruined because they're suddenly sleeping all day and they can't call them at the time that they used to be able to call them, and when they are up and awake and not groggy and not wanting to be awake, then their
Significant
spouse or
other.
significant other is then asleep and not able
Mhm.
to talk anymore.
Yeah, that's gotta be the hardest part. Relationships in the Navy,
Oh, yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
fucking part.
Yeah, no. When I go back home, it's kind of similar for me as well. Granted, I was living away from my parents before I came into the Navy anyway, but still, it's still kind of the same thing. I haven't been around them so long, so when I do see them, it's my parents act like little kids when I'm around.
Yeah.
Because they grab me, hey, you gotta check this out, and they drag me all over the house, they'll drag me all over the town, and
This is
you
new
have
and
to check
this is
this out,
cool.
and this
Yep.
and that, and then they're running up to friends that they know and be like, hey, it's my son, he's in the Navy, it's so cool. It's just like it's like I'm the new toy suddenly when I show up. It's like I'm around kids again. So sometimes that happens, and then my dad will be asking me. He was prior military. And he'll be asking me questions like, oh, what's changed? What's this? And it's like,
I don't know.
well, it's still Navy, but it's just like a few things have changed. Like people don't act the way that they did when you were in.
And you
like-
and you still can't even tell them all about what we're doing as our job because it's classified information.
It's some of it is. It's like
some of it, they'll
I
like,
tell
they'll
you
ask
what
you
I
a
have to
question,
tell
and it's
you.
like, I can't tell you that. And like you have to like change the subject
Why
because
can't
it's like,
you tell me?
oh,
Why can't you tell me? Because I can't. I'm not allowed to.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that since my dad's paramilitary and he was kind of in the same boat, like he can explain to the rest of my family,
Mhm.
even while I'm not there, why I can't talk to them like all the time, why I can't tell them certain things, why can't they ask me what's going on in my life sometimes, because like, oh,
Yeah.
when are you gonna go there? When are you gonna be there?
I
Well, I
don't
can't
know.
tell you. I either don't know or I can't tell you when I'll be there because I
like,
can't. I'm not-
my mom-
yeah.
My mom will get upset at me for not calling it as much. She's like, you hardly ever call me. And I'm like, Mom, I call you like every couple months. Like, give me a break. The
Like,
thing is, it's
what
not.
you can do.
What am I supposed to tell Mom? Oh, hey Mom, we're gonna be working on this system. Here, let me tell you about everything I learned today. And she's going, I don't know
I
what
know
the
what
heck you
you
just said, or
Yeah.
what you're talking about. So it's like you just grow this disconnect where it's like, you know what? It's just better to enjoy the good
You
times when
yourself.
I'm there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the day-to-day lives are just gonna be around me and the people who actually know what I'm talking about.
And especially if you do call them so much, you lose stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, our days are very repetitive
It's
until we
all
hit
the
the
same.
weekend, and then we get to do stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like the most I can see me calling back to family is like once a weekend. So like be like, oh, this is the cool thing I'm doing this weekend, or I'm gonna stay in this weekend. And
Yeah. So it's when I do call my mom, I try, but I usually don't stay on the phone very long with my mother. I don't know if you guys. I'll end up on the phone with hours with a good friend of mine who retired from the Marine Corps and my dad, because they're prior military, they understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then when you tell them how stupid somebody was being, they'll laugh along with you and then tell you one of their stories, and it's just like it's like us hanging
Better
out.
conversation.
It's a different
It's
kind of
closer.
conversation.
You want to know what else I noticed after being in the Navy? Everybody's humor changes.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a darker. It really is a darker sense of humor. Because
absolutely.
Yeah.
we shoot big guns for a living. We shoot things and we aim to kill. That's the point of the fucking gun.
Well, not only that, but we're around each other so much that we kind of get irritated with each other. So our humor starts to get to that point of irritation where it's going to be a little darker.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it'll either kill the conversation or it's going to change the conversation so
Something
much
else.
that you're not even
Yeah.
talking about that anymore. So the humor gets darker as it goes. So
And
it's just the
slowly-
way it is, and you can't keep good humor all the
Not
time.
even
No, you can't.
not even irritation, but sometimes it's just boredom. Like I see you all the time. We need new stuff to talk about, and you gotta keep digging
you
to
just
find
make
something.
racist jokes and stuff like today in class.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
no,
you just
I
you gotta do something.
Well, that's not right. Y'all shouldn't be doing that.
Well, yeah, I don't do it, but the people in class do it. But
No,
Yeah.
we do dark jokes. Like there'll be a movie like that came out.
Horror movies are a good one. Horror
So
movies end up all
we'll
the
we'll
time.
pick up like what is it, the TV show Rick and Morty? Like
Yeah.
they'll have a scene in there that could be like considered a little dark.
Yeah.
And somebody will pick it up and somebody will say something and they'll just repeat what had been said in the movie
Yeah.
or in the
Yeah.
show, and it's dark, but it's so funny that everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
Because it just fits. Like certain things fit. Like it's not always dark humor. Sometimes we have good actual humor that is actually just quite funny. But it's just the dark humor seems to fit human life a little better.
I never understood how if you probably haven't heard of it, but there are two companies that got together to make a movie. The movie was called Range 15, and they're all prior military, special forces, anything else they want to be. I forgot, but they made a movie, a zombie movie, and they're like, yeah, Hollywood just doesn't understand what it is like to be in the military, because they pump it all up as all honor and glory and shiny metal shields and for Captain America and blah blah blah, and it's not. We're constantly fucking with each other, playing practical jokes,
Yeah.
hell, hiding stuff in the spaces,
Yeah.
snacks and shit,
Snacks
making
from
fun of
the
each
movie.
other like we make
But-
fun of the GMs all the time.
Like the
Oh,
last time I went home, I get home and I told them, I said, yeah, give me a few minutes. I got to go take a shower and I'll be right back out. And they were used to me taking half an hour to an hour in the shower, depending on the day, like how dirty I was or whatever. And I enjoyed my shower. Like I'd wash off, but there'd be times I'd stand there and just enjoy the hot water. Now, I don't do it. Don't do it anymore. I jump in and I jump out, and then they're like, I don't even think that was 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, you used to take so long in the shower. Like, what happened to you? Like, there's times they will actually ask me, like, what happened to you?
The Navy happened.
It's like,
I-
well, when you don't got time, you don't got time. Like,
Yeah.
you just get so used to not having that time.
Boot camp trains that shit out of you. Fuck,
I don't
man.
know. I got it back in A school, but like. The
But
day
you don't
I
always,
take
you don't get it
faster
100%
showers-
back either.
Yeah.
Because you know that, because there's still that thought in your head that when you go to the ship, you know you're going to be needing to take those 2-minute showers.
Yep.
Yeah, which is why I took longer showers, because like I'm gonna enjoy it now because I know it's gonna be taken again.
It's like
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah, just like sleep. Or like I love sleep so much now, and like I'll have days where I sleep all day because I'm tired, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe if I can enjoy my sleep now, I'll be fine later.
Which works sometimes, but not all the
Sometimes,
times.
but not all the time.
Yeah, well, and in the military as well, like I'll be going home and I'll be talking to family and I'll be like, I'm getting fat. And they don't understand it's not the fact that I'm like do body shaming. It's the fact is there's a certain standard I have to upkeep.
Yes.
Yeah.
with
So,
this
and
push-ups
my family looks at me and they're like, you're not fat because I technically by civilian standard, I'm not close to fat.
No.
But
Yeah.
military standard, I've got fat on me, and if I continue to let it grow, it could freaking it can harm my abilities, and that's another thing people don't get is in the military, it's not body shaming, it's our job.
Mhm.
So it's a completely, it's like you have to take things that a lot of people it's like you get the ability to be able to eat whatever you want, and your job will not freaking put you in a program to lose weight.
No. They will here and have done here in the Navy.
Yeah.
So there's those things, getting up like early in the morning when you used to sleep till noon. Like you can't freaking sleep in after a certain time now.
I was just telling somebody else today in class, I wake up before my alarm every morning now, which is about, well, because our classes are so late, I try to go to bed. I'll go to bed at like balls, and I'll wake up at like 6:30 something.
I've caught myself,
I
like I like to hit the
weekends.
snooze on my alarm,
Mhm.
which everybody on the ship is going to hate me for.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'll wake up right before it goes off and then hit it just as it goes off. It doesn't even go off that long. I every time it goes off, I'm waking up and just hitting it right before it goes off.
I know, I'll wake up, like, on the weekends when my family was here visiting, I'd wake up and they'd all still be asleep.
Mhm.
And I'd just be wandering around for like an hour and I'll lay back down and I'll go back to sleep. And then I'll wake up again and they're still asleep. And I'm like, when are we going to start the day?
That's why we thought that we're making breakfast. We
It's
were
like-
both up.
I'm like, it's already 10:30. You guys are still asleep. And I'm just like, and I lay back down and I fell asleep again. And like a half an hour later, then they woke me up and they're like, you sleep a lot. And I'm like, oh,
No.
sure.
Sure. Yeah.
I've went back to bed twice now.
Man,
Because I get bored and I'm like, well, I get to play my
I go
phone.
up to
outside,
I went
and
up to
plug
her
back in.
families, and they were all like in bed and nobody's moving around, and I just lay there and looking at the ceiling as I listened for footsteps.
Yeah.
Then maybe
See if
you'll
somebody-
hear the dog, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get excited because like there's footsteps, and then you hear like a bark, and you're like, it's the dog.
Yeah.
You hear the claws on the hardwood, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
You're like, because on carpet you're like, maybe that's a human.
That's what I'm dreading for the 5 days of leave that I'm taking between here and C school and going to Florida. Is I'm dreading because I have a ton of shit to do, yeah, but my family, like you guys just said, they sleep in and they don't, like, my dad's on night shift, so it's even kind of worse because he gets back at like 3, 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning and then sleeps until probably around 5.
Yeah, so when he's
Or
over there
four.
going to bed, you're gonna be waking up.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta
Yeah.
try to be quiet and crap, and yeah. The dogs have their own schedule though.
Yeah, I
Dogs
feel like
always
you're gonna be like really bonded to the dogs because they're gonna have the same sleep schedule as you.
Take them
Yeah.
on walks.
And then the other thing that,
That'd
like,
be a good thing to do is every morning. when
another
you're
thing that I've
getting a
noticed
nice
to
walk.
baffle a lot of people, especially even sailors, it baffles them after they start seeing it themselves. Somebody, you can stay up, be tired. Everybody can see that you're tired. Like you're dragging your knuckles on the ground, everything. You go to bed, and you still wake up before your alarm.
Yep.
And you're like, I've been up for 2 days. How am I waking up at this time?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's immediate. It becomes a reaction, and you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then there's the stress that gets involved. You're just trying to do things that a lot of people don't understand the amount of stress that we have to deal with and everything. So it's like, but being able to manage that, I've noticed I've been able to manage the stress a lot easier than I would have a year ago.
Mhm.
Because things roll off my shoulders now that they don't
Yeah,
didn't
they
used to
didn't
roll
used
off
to,
my
yep.
shoulders,
Yeah.
and now things bother me that didn't used to bother me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when I watch somebody walk around, like today, I ran to my truck, just like jumped in my truck and take off before I started yelling at this female for taking her blouse off in the parking lot.
Why?
Started undressing her uniform because she was walking back and was getting getting ready to get changed into civilians.
I almost yelled at a dude that was doing that and
I saw
coming in
that
the
too.
building. He had his cover off, he had his sunglasses in his hand, and he was already like open blouse and everything. He just walked in the building. Like, do that? No. You don't de-blouse in anything but the classroom, maybe your workspace, and your room.
You can only de-blouse in authorized areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unlike the Marines, which I kind of envy them. Like I'm
Well,
so.
no. Authorized. Basically, if you like, you guys don't understand. If you're outside, you're working. It's like what they call black flag. So it's like high
Oh,
80s,
shit.
90s
Oh, yeah.
degrees, and you're working outside. They'll allow you to take your blouse off to allow you to cool down. But that's the most you can do any other time is not acceptable because in the Navy it is considered basically you're getting naked even though you have a shirt on underneath because that's a shirt that goes under. So it's the same as if you were just taking a shirt off and you have skin.
Yeah.
And they see it that way. It's very much different.
They see it advisable count just as much as underwear does.
Yeah, so, yeah, no, I almost went off on that person.
Yeah.
So, on that note, for you guys, if you were to know anybody that's coming into the Navy, what would you tell them to do?
I don't mean run away. I mean run beforehand. If you're thinking
Yes.
about joining any kind of military
Get
branch,
used to running.
you better run 3 miles like at least 3 times a week. That's actually because I was too chubby to join the Navy in the first place. They made me wait another month or two. And while I was talking to them, trying to get all the paperwork because you have to get hospital records from stuff. And back when I was freaking 9 months old, my kidneys almost went into kidney failure, and I had to go find those fucking
Yeah.
documents and shit.
Yeah, because your dad was Navy. That was all documented on.
He wasn't in the Navy when that happened though.
But was it TRICARE?
No, it wasn't. It was something
Okay,
else.
that was weird.
Well, yeah, because it was the only reason I had to get all of that was because it said when I broke my arms, which was an earlier thing that I had already made the mistake of telling them, which you're supposed to tell them everything, just do it for your own health and safety.
Yeah.
When I broke my arms, it said on the paperwork that I was allergic to penicillin, and they're like, "Well, how did you find that out?" And that was when my kidneys almost went into kidney failure, where I was found out that I was allergic to penicillin. And then I went and got it tested, and I was fine. I'm not allergic to penicillin anymore, which I was so happy about. I would rather have
Yeah.
a peanut butter shot than the 32 days of trying to take 2 pills a day, which I'm horrible at. But
yeah.
wait, what was the original question?
you're
You made me go rant.
you're giving advice to somebody who's going to be coming into the Navy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, okay, now I remember. I ran for 3 months straight, pretty much every day, and I lost 25 pounds before joining the Navy, and then I went to boot camp, and I lost a little bit more weight, and then I got to A school and ATT, and I kept working out, and then here I worked out as well, and running and doing push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks will help you a whole fuck ton. It will, like, do not underestimate it. Like, look up the PT standards and look up just the base level of satisfactory, because you don't want to be probationary. And just go ahead and try for excellent, try for outstanding, try for something that's above satisfactory. And that'll help you out a whole lot. And in boot camp, just shut your mouth and do what you're told. If you're getting yelled at for something you didn't do, fix it later. Just take the freaking ass chewing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because it's a lot better if someone comes up and takes the punishment than to force everybody in the room to get punished for
Listen,
something.
Like, use your judgment on that, though. Like,
Well,
if
yeah.
they're asking you if you, like, touch somebody inappropriately, don't, like, fucking take that ass to it. You better tell them that you didn't touch that
But if
person
it's
appropriately.
something like who went into the office and like borrowed a pen, like yeah, you shouldn't do that and take the ass chewing for it. But
I don't think they're gonna ass chew you for a fucking pen.
Yeah,
But
they will.
they'll ass chew.
Yeah,
No,
they
they
will.
ass chew the whole fucking. That's what they did with my division, at least. Is they ass chewed the whole. We PT'd, divisional PT, or ITE.
had that.
That what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if I were to give somebody, myself personally, if I were to give somebody advice going into the Navy, male, female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they identify or any of that. It's continue to learn.
yeah,
Don't, when you're getting yelled at, when you're being told that you're doing wrong and it seems like everybody is getting on you, getting on your case, learn. What is it that they're getting on you about? What is it that you can change? What is it that they're seeing or what they're not seeing? What is it? Learn. Give the Navy 100%. The Navy is what you make it.
Mhm.
I got yelled at for a whole bunch of stuff in boot camp that I didn't do, and the only reason I got yelled at is because I was the oldest. And the reason he yelled at me is because he wanted me to start yelling at everybody else to get them in line, which I started doing towards the end, but I learned that was something that I figured out that was something that they want. I learned that the RDCs were getting on me to try to help everybody else. Now, when it came to later on when I ended up on FET because of
They-
Great Lakes with the way that they do their testing there at A school,
And they switched your scores.
and my test scores ended up all screwy. I didn't take that as the Navy knocking me down. The Navy is just, it's horrible. I didn't say that the Navy is horrible. I didn't say any of that. I said, you know what? I'm going to take this as a lesson. I'm going to learn from this mistake. I can't trust other people to count properly, and I can't trust other people to write the right numbers. So I have to verify, make sure that everything is right every single time when it's done. So now, not only do I train harder because I want to make sure there's no reason for them to give me a bad score. I also, when I do my test, I stand up, and he starts telling the person recording the numbers of what I did, I correct them if it's wrong. I tell them, no, the number is this, and I'm stern about it. And when they try to push back and say, well, you shouldn't be talking or saying something like that, it's, well, I understand that, and be respectful, but at the same time, you have to know what's right. You have to do what's right. And if you can stop it before you get to the point of signing it stating, I agree that this is what's wrong, you can actually end up having to have them put you back through it, retest, do things. There's a lot of stuff you can do. So always learn. You can always learn more. You can always learn more about yourself. And the only time I have actually been down on myself is when I thought there was nothing more I could learn, because then there was always something that would teach me that I screwed up. So learning constantly. If you can find a mistake before it happens, you've learned something that nobody else has, because you've found something. Sometimes all it takes is to look at something from another angle, or to look back over it from the start.
I know I've gotten a few good pieces of information or advice from first classes and chiefs, and they're always like, the only person that's in control of your Navy career or your career in general is you. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, whether somebody told you to or not, or you just didn't ask enough questions, that's what I'm going through right now, it's still your fault. It doesn't matter. So always, yeah, like what he's saying, always try to learn, always ask questions, whether they be stupid or not. I ask a ton of stupid fucking questions every day. My whole class makes fun of me for it. But I'm asking for my betterment, not for theirs, or maybe for somebody else that doesn't understand it. So always, nobody's in control of your Navy career
No one
except for
cares
you.
more about your career.
Yeah,
than
that
you.
one. No one cares more than you do about your career.
Yeah.
What I would say would be, don't take everything personal.
No, fuck no.
Because not only chances are it's not even really directed at you, like in boot camp, it wasn't really supposed to be for you that they did that, it was supposed to be for the others. It's also, I've learned a lot of people don't know how to tell you something is wrong and try to help you without sounding like they're just being an asshole. I know plenty of people who don't know how to sit there and be like, hey, it would be better if you did this, without saying it in a way that, like, maybe you feel they're being aggressive about it because they just don't know how to talk. Not everyone in the Navy is, like, really good at being social and stuff like that. There's a lot of different people here, and things might be taken offensively, and just, you can't take everything personally.
Yeah, learn how to take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that too.
Constructive criticism. You can have
That's
some bad
usually
criticism. Yeah, you can have some bad criticism, like people not just being mean for no reason, and then you can have some good criticism, like what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Like, be able to take it, really. Grow a thicker skin, because you're gonna need it, because like we were talking about earlier, we have a dark sense of humor, and we like to pick on each other all the time.
Yeah.
I've also learned, if people aren't picking on you, something is wrong.
Yes.
Because the people who like you are going to be the ones who pick on you, because it's our way of joking. And if you're new to it, you're not going to get it, and you're going to be like, why is everyone being so mean to me?
Yes.
When in reality, it's kind of backwards, but that's them accepting you. The more someone picks on you, chances are
The more they accept you.
the more they accept you, because they feel like it's safe, I can do this without you freaking out. I can
Yeah.
say these
That's-
things, and you take it as a joke.
That was a harder thing to learn as well. Like, you didn't learn that in boot camp. You learned that through A school, and I'm learning
Yeah.
it here. Like, I think I just hit that point of, all right, I know they're fucking with me just to fuck with me. They're not being mean. Like, thicker skin and everything. Like, that was a
Yeah.
hard thing to learn.
I already like I said, my dad was Navy, and a lot of my upbringing was what he'd learned. A lot of what he did in the Navy, so I was already pretty much used to a lot of it. But the one thing that my dad did that the Navy does and everything is when they see somebody who is starting to slack off or has potential,
Dirtbag.
they the higher ups, the chiefs, everything, they zone in on that person and they push them. You can be better, and I'm going to get on you. You're going to be a second late. They jump on you and get on you about being a second late. You show up early, they praise you for a day, and then they tell you, well, how about let's make this a regular thing, because if you show up late again, they're going to get back on you. And they do it. They're not doing it
To be mean.
to be mean or to try to freaking make you get out of the Navy when your time comes. They're trying to better you, make you somebody that they think that you can be. And you have to, once you understand that, hey, if Chief is getting on me that bad, then apparently there's a reoccurring issue here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about learning what they're trying to instill into
You
you.
gotta pick the message from the insults.
Yeah.
And whether like FC1 went to all of us, he likes to say you can learn something from everyone. Whether they're a horrible person, you can learn how to not be a horrible person. Or if they're a great leader, you can pick up on some of the traits or some of the things that they do, and you can learn from that as well. Everybody can be used an example, whether it be good or bad. I don't know if I'm a bad example, but we're not talking about that. That's another video.
So on that, this video is almost 2 hours long.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's almost 2 hours long. We just getting into it, but I'm gonna leave that with you. If you guys are coming into the Navy,
Good luck.
keep your heads up. Just get through it, and it's really not as bad as you guys might think.
Not at all.
You'll be
Said
surprised.
a lot of negatives, but it's really not that bad.
That's not like the camaraderie between everybody.
Yeah, we just get along a lot more than you guys think. So just keep pushing, keep your heads up, and we'll see you in the fleet.
I believe in you.
Zach